Hey everybody, welcome back to the Pet Food Puzzle Guy. And today I want to respond to a comment that I got a little while ago now, but I think it was Shelly was her name. And she asked me, we were having a conversation. She asked me, is the industry better today than it was back when I started? Because she said, boy, you've seen a lot of change in the pet food industry. And I figured out it's been about 40 years I've been involved in it, from whether I was a retailer up to distributor rep and then to a Hills veterinary rep. So I've really seen it all for a lot of years. And I thought, that's really a good question. Is the pet food industry as a whole, and especially to you, the pet parent, is it better today than it was 40 years ago? And so that's what I want to answer today. No analytical numbers or anything like that, just my experience and what I see. And at the end, I will give you my prediction of where I think the pet food industry is going and the consequences of that. So that'll be coming up. So let's go ahead and get started. And I hope you get a lot of this video. So first of all, the pet food industry started way before me. I'm not that old, but I came into the game in the late 80s, 1980s, and I was a retailer and a pet store retailer. And back in the 80s and late 80s, there were really, now I was in the Northeast, so I can't speak for the whole country. And again, it's just my experience. But you had grocery foods, Purina, all of them, all the names. A lot of them are gone now, but they pretty much, everybody fed grocery food. Nobody thought to go buy to buy a premium food, or to go to a pet food store. There were no PetSmarts, Petcos, those big box pet food stores didn't exist. It was just really the grocery store and some little tiny mom and pop stores. And I was one of those retailers, and I carried Science Diet. I have a video on my whole, from paratrooper to pet food, my whole history. I don't want to get into that, but basically, as a retailer, Science Diet was in some of your specialty stores, definitely mostly sold through veterinarians. And Iams was really making a big, strong introduction into the premium pet food. And there were other foods. There was Bench and Field. Those of you that remember Bench and Field, I don't think that one's around anymore. A&F is gone. But there was the introduction of premium pet food. That's what we called it. And that's all there was. There was grocery food and premium food. And as a retailer, I would try to graduate people up to a better food by feeding any of these premiums, whether it was Science Diet, Iams, whatever. Nutro came from California. It was big in California. This is when the natural craze hit. So that's the one thing that pet parents don't understand when you're looking at the here and now. We're all a product of our culture. We're all a product of the what's going on around us. And the pet parent today, the thinking that they have from the messaging they're getting about pet food is so totally different than 40 years ago. Okay, 40 years ago, I think I remember Lucky Dog had a bulldog on the bag, and it was one of the highest selling foods in the grocery store. Not because of anything nutritional, no nutritional message, just because I had an adorable dog on the bag. That's how people were like back then. Okay. Now, of course, we're into nutrition and everything, all this other stuff. But please understand, just to encapsulate this, you had grocery foods and you had a select amount of premium foods. Most of the premium foods we sold with the benefit that you would feed less, there'd be less stool, less smell in a litter box. That was all true. We didn't really say it was better ingredients. Iams was really kind of the first meat-based, if you want to call it that, diet. They were way ahead of their time, really, when you think about it today. And so they pushed, that they had real meat, that kind of thing. And so that was the world that I started my pet food career in. And the interesting thing is that if we think about back in that day, when I think back, I don't have any of the numbers anymore. I guess it's impossible to go back and find them somewhere. But if you looked at the nutrient levels, right now, today I'm the pet food puzzle guy. What do? Let's look at nutrients. Show me the nutrients. I can remember some of the nutrient levels of grocery foods in the day were horrific compared to the premium foods. So in other words, if you switched from Purina Cat Chow or Purina Dog Chow, whatever, over to Science Diet or IMS, whatever, you were getting a better nutrient profile. Didn't really sell nutrients. We really sold the benefit that, hey, your dog's going to love it. You'll feed less. So even though it costs more, you're going to feed less. You're going to have less cleanup, that kind of nicer, shinier coat. We really promoted the benefits, not the nutritional benefits. And so I can remember that Purina Cat Chow, I want to say the magnesium level. Now, when you look at magnesium levels with Purina, you'll see anywhere from 16 milligrams per 100 kcal up to 20 something, whatever. It was like way more than double that back in the day, back in the 80s. So here we go from if I'm a pet parent, excuse me, I want to switch from grocery foods over to premium foods. That would be an improvement, not only in the benefits, shinier skin or shinier coat and healthier skin and less poop to clean up, all that kind of stuff, but it was a healthier transition. Okay, so that was the 1980s. Let's be done with grocery. Let's get into premium, whatever a premium meant. Okay. The big change came in 1987 when Purina, I'm sure Purina's, they were the king of grocery. I guess they still are. And they just saw this shift that people were leaving the grocery store believing they could get something better at the pet store, which was kind of hard back in those days because there weren't that many pet stores. We didn't have PetSmarts and Petcos everywhere. So, and a lot of people bought their Science Diet from the vet too, because again, it was the only place to get it. So that's the scenario then. I'm just going to add here, I think, if you look at marketing through the decades, All Natural hit. I remember All Natural hit, but actually I digress. Let me go back to Purina for a sec. In 1987, Purina came out with Pro Plan to say, haha, we're going to compete with Science Diet and IMS with a premium food. We're going to make Pro Plan. And they were the very first ones. So Purina gets the blame for this. They were the ones that manipulated the ingredient panel to put chicken as the first ingredient. They realized people were starting to evaluate foods. They were starting to look at ingredients, and they knew that, hey, the ingredient panel goes by weight, heaviest ingredient on down. It's still true today. That's the law. But they figured out, hey, instead of having a meat meal that's powder and light, if we use real meat, all that water weight shoots it right to the front of the ingredient panel. And voila, I remember the day it came, I was a retailer, it came in a black box, you opened it up and there was a sample of Pro Plan and all this other stuff. And I remember saying to myself, wow, this is going to change the pet food industry. And it sure did. So that was the first introduction of, we can manipulate the ingredient panel. So now marketing really took over. All Natural, I remember driving to one of my appointments in Gunnison, Colorado, and Pizza Hut had a sign out, all new natural pizza. I mean, this is like probably in the early 90s, maybe, or something, where all of a sudden everything was natural, and that was a big deal. Didn't really mean much, but it sounded great. And I guess that's the point I want to get across to pet parents, that you're looking at the marketing of today and you're buying it. You're believing, species appropriate and all this other, fresh is better than kibble. Oh, and kibble is bad and it's overcooked and it's just brown burnt balls and your dog's going to die if you keep feeding kibble, all this. It's just the marketing of today. If we went back and looked at the marketing of the 2000s, the marketing of the 90s, the marketing of the 80s, you would see, and some of you are old enough like me to remember, yeah, we were into very different things. Holistic, remember when Holistic came out? Oh my goodness, that was the big thing. To this day, I hope you guys know this, Holistic has absolutely no legal definition whatsoever. It doesn't matter what ingredients you're using. It doesn't matter what processing you're using. You could just stick Holistic on the bag. That's a fact. That's not Glenn's opinion. That's the fact. So marketing is just going to keep changing. And that's why I keep warning everybody, if you believe the marketing, you're just believing what they're saying right now. I could only imagine in 10 years, I remember I was at a Hills meeting many years ago, and maybe Holistic had just come out. I think it was. Holistic had just come out. We were laughing how it meant nothing, but it was selling food. And we thought Hills should put Holistic on the Hills bags, Even veterinarians, I remember saying, if you guys would just put Holistic on KD, you'd sell a lot more. It'd be easier for me to get people on it because they love the word holistic. I remember at the meeting, we were thinking, I wonder what the next buzzword will be, or the next marketing gimmick would be. We would have had no idea back then it would be that kibble's bad and you should feed your dog or cat species appropriate, and fresh is good, and cooking at home is going to be healthier for your pet. I mean, on and on and on, all this stuff. It's all marketing. That's why I always keep saying, show me the nutrients. Nutrition is real. All the other stuff, all the messaging you're buying into, or considering, or thinking this is why I should feed this food, it's all just made up by marketing departments. I know, I was a retailer. I have a few videos on retailers that just their opinion is based on all of the marketing departments from all these different companies. It sounds good. You repeat it. The customer seems to like it. The food works okay. And hey, we're all happy. But it's not nutrition. It's not saying you're feeding the best diet. It just means, yeah, the diet's fine. It's working okay. But you bought into the lies. You bought into all the marketing. Feeding kibble is like, feeding McDonald's. So it's fast food. I mean, oh my goodness, I can't believe all the ads I get these days from Farmer's Dog and Ollie and Sundays. Oh my goodness, you guys getting hit with Sundays. It's just all day long, and it's all ridiculous nonsense, misinformation. Nothing about it is accurate. Nothing at all has to do with nutrition, but it's great messaging that for this day and age, for the pet parent, it's working really well. I'm just trying to get you to understand. I've been watching this for 40 years to see all these different messages mean nothing. Show me the nutrients. So now we're in 2025, and we have what? We have grocery foods still. Still a lot of folks buy from the grocery store. We now have big box pet food stores, PetSmart and Petco, and I'm sure there's a few other chains or some, mom and pop still left out there. God bless them. But the real change nutritionally, when I look at it, let's look at, the marketing, I've already talked about that. What about the nutrition from 40 years ago? Well, remember I said Purina Cat Chow was, I think it was 60 something milligrams of magnesium. It was absurd. Now it's down to a nice healthy level. Okay. And then they have urinary care, which really is an excellent diet, all based on the real nutrients, not the messaging. So grocery foods as a whole, not every one of them, some of them are still pretty excessive and imbalanced, but a lot of them have let's say they were almost forced to improve their diets to make them healthier, because now people are looking. Now you just have a lot more nutrition research going on. There's more board certified nutritionists. So whether Purina did it out of the goodness of their hearts, or out of from a business standpoint or a credibility standpoint, whatever, the grocery food you buy of Purina today, I can tell you because I lived it, is a much healthier product than it was 40 years ago. Okay. So that's one fact. The irony, the thing that drives me nuts, and is why I make these videos, is if you look at the premium foods, the Science Diet, Iams, well, even I'll add ProPlan in there, and Nutro. I mean, that whole, they're not the cheap foods, but they're not the crazy expensive, fresh blah 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 foods. They're in the middle. They're what we used to call premium foods. Grocery is still not as good as most of those. And again, it's all individual. There's definitely foods within that premium range that you and I have looked at the nutrient levels. Dr. Ray looks at the nutrient levels, and voila, we find, hey, there's a grocery food that actually has a better nutrient profile than some of these premiums. It's just the way it is. That's why you have to look at the actual dry matter percentage nutrients. You can't be looking at the bag, and definitely you shouldn't be listening to their messaging. Okay. What breaks my heart is that if you look at the, what do we want to call them? I don't want to call them ultra premium, but the fresh, the Farmer's Dog, the Ollie, the Nom Nom, the on and on and on. If you look at all of those, and there's a ton of them out there, awfully expensive. I mean, ridiculously expensive. Their messaging, it's the new messaging of the day. I can tell you, and I'm telling you, 99.9% of their messaging is a lie. It's a lie. Okay, there's no way to sugarcoat it. It's a lie. So if you look at the nutrients of those products in general, what do we find? They're no better than the premium ones. I've shared it on my channel. Dr. Ray has done the same. You're going to pay 2-3 times more. You're going to get a fresh bag delivered to your house with your pet's name on it. How cool is that? You don't have to go to the store, But nutritionally, the real sad fact is, and again, to answer the question, is the industry better today than it was 40 years ago? I got to say the answer is no. The answer is no. It's gotten worse. One, because, well, marketing is marketing. I mean, again, back when Holistic came out, it didn't mean anything. When Purina manipulated the ingredient panel, it didn't mean anything. Species appropriate doesn't mean anything. That's all just messaging. But bottom line, we went from low quality, excessive nutrients or imbalanced nutrients in grocery food over to premium. Premium improved that. Grocery food kept improving over time, over the decades, to where it's not so bad now, to be honest. Over here, we've got the fresh, amazing, this is the all new stuff that if you're a pet parent, you've been shamed and guilted into, you got to buy this stuff. When we look at the nutrient levels, guess what? Most of them are not even as good as the grocery foods over here. So when I look at the whole bottom picture, I'm kind of going all over the place here. This is my rant, but it's really sad. The trend has gone, it got better with the premiums. That was a good thing. That was an improvement. The grocery foods have improved. Again, you can look at the nutrient numbers and see it. How many times have I recommended Purina One feline urinary health based on the awesome nutrient numbers? If you've got a cat and you can't afford the better urinary diets, at least it's an option, but you got to know that option. Cat chow doesn't come out near as good as that one diet. So again, it's show me the nutrients, not the messaging. The worst part that breaks my heart is over here with all these diets that are no better nutritionally, definitely no better than the premium. You could feed I'm Science Diet and you'll beat nutritionally almost every one of those fresh ones everybody thinks is so wonderful, and they see all the commercials and all that. So the industry is losing its integrity as far as looking at nutrition, and the marketing is definitely taken off. And it's even sad, I'll find from when I look at these companies, the ones over here again that I'm talking about, not the grocery, not the premium, but those, whatever you want to call them. I guess we need a name for them. I'd give you a name. But they all now have board certified nutritionists, a lot of them. Oh, we have a board certified nutritionist on staff. They're even going to water down that, the quality of that in a food. When you look at Hills, Royal Canin, and Purina, all the board certified nutritionists they have, all the research they've done, I mean, it validates that they have these people. They have peer reviewed studies that they're doing. They come out with therapeutic diets. They're doing all this stuff. Then you have a food, whatever, Ollie, Nom Nom, Farmer's Dog, whatever. They have a board certified nutritionist. I don't know how much input they have in the diet. I don't know how much control they have to say, hey, I think you really should change these nutrient levels because they're not optimal. Optimal clearly is not an issue or a concern for many of these companies. They do not care about optimal anymore. Now it's just into make sure you're AAFCO approved, because that sounds good, even though we all know that doesn't mean much. But I really question it's going to, you guys, me, I kind of make the board certified nutritionist is the the ultimate enforcer of the rules or of the research and all, and the consensus that they have is what I generally will trust. Now that's going to get ruined, because now you're going to have food companies saying, oh, well, we have a board certified nutritionist and they say this food is fine, even though it's 3 times the amount of calcium, or it's basically a puppy food, or it's this or that, or whatever. And oh yeah, our marketing is going to be just totally misleading to get you to feel guilty and shamed into not listening to your veterinarian, but to listen to us and buy our food. That's where it's going. And it's going there at a dramatically fast rate. Sorry, let me get just give me a second here. This is my Yorkie mug. Many years ago, I told my wife I wanted to get a Yorkie, and this is when I ended up getting a mug. But anyway, so it's very sad that grocery foods now, many of them will actually be much healthier than these crazy, fresh, species appropriate, blah, blah, blah diets over here. And still the premiums, the Science Diet, the IMS, the Pro Plans, some of those are still great diets. But if you go to social media, what do you find? Hills, Royal Canin, Purina, they're all of the devil. They're horrible. They're killing your pets. That's what you're up against as a pet parent in 2025. And where is it going to go? I got another comment from somebody, and he says, how's the data in the future going to look when we look at kidney disease and heart disease and urinary stones and all these other things, when the whole industry is going to extreme excessive protein. They're ignoring the excess minerals that come along with that protein. They're not really putting in the antioxidants that the premium foods were doing. They're getting less and less, almost comical, most of them. What's going to happen if the trend is that way? What are we going to see 10 years from now? And that's a really good question. I don't know where the pet food industry, I just described how I think it's going. What's going to happen in the veterinary hospital? I hate to say it, I can't see any other way or any other result of this trend in pet food if consumers, if you pet parents start buying into the farmer's dog, the Nom Nom, the Ollie, even down to Taste the Wild, and Blue Buffalo is pretty bad, but Blue Buffalo is kind of in that premium range. But the trend is these are gaining in popularity. The nutritional levels are not near as good as the premium. Most of them aren't even near as good as the grocery foods. So what are we going to see in 10 years? How can we not see more kidney disease? How could we not be seeing more urinary stones, especially in cats? When I look at the mineral levels that are in the cat foods that the social media celebrities are promoting, they're terrible. And we know, I mean, this isn't, here's Glenn's opinion, whatever. If you have a bunch of cat food out there, 50% of the market has excessive levels of calcium and phosphorus and sodium and magnesium. Any cat that's genetically predisposed to stones, guess what? They're going to get them. I mean, I don't have to be a board certified nutritionist. That just makes sense. If I'm going to watch the industry go where protein levels should be, double, 3 times, 4 times higher than what the animal needs. And I've shared, some of the websites actually share all this information, the stuff I'm saying. It's not just Glenn saying this. This is out there. It's well known. Your dog can't take any more protein than what its body could utilize. Then it has to be broken down. I think it's changed to glycogen before it's turned to fat to be used as energy, which can lead to obesity. But now you've overtaxed the kidneys and the liver. It's just there's no nutritional reason for it, but messaging, oh, it sounds really great. We have more protein than those guys. Blue Buffalo has that ad keeps popping up on my Facebook saying 30% more protein than Purina dog chow. They're so proud of that. 30% more than a Purina dog chow that already has enough. What's the point of that? So again, with all this trend, if you pet parents keep buying into this scam, the industry is going to go along with it. I'm sorry, it just will. There's still going to be healthy diets, but the only way you're going to know is if you what? Check the nutrients, show me the nutrients. Then you'll know if you're feeding something healthy. But forget about looking at price. Price will not tell you anything whether it's good or bad. That's definitely true. And stop listening to the messaging, because again, if we could go back in a time machine to the 90s, we'd be looking at, natural. Wow, this is a natural food, or this is a holistic food. That was a big deal back then. It's still here today, but now we have all the other new, again, I could go on, all the marketing. So I guess what I'm saying is the industry in some ways has gotten better, that grocery foods had to improve. There's still good diets out there. Prices are an issue for everybody these days, but price does not determine quality. We've proven that on this channel and Dr. Ray's channel plenty of times. But the future does not look good. The future looks pretty gloomy for pets and pet parents if this marketing trend continues and grabs more people. And that's what scares me. That's what's for somebody that's been in this industry for 40 years, to watch it turn into what I think it's going to turn into. Vet clinics are going to love it. The Mars Candy Company that's buying up all the vet clinics, man, they're going to make out great treating kidney disease and urinary stones and obesity, all that. That's what you're going to get from this group over here. So let me know what you think. I mean, again, you could say this is just my opinion based on my 40 years of experience. I could be dead wrong, but I guess the lesson of this video is, as usual, don't listen to the current messaging, because guess what? It's going to change. Don't listen to "we have a board certified nutritionist," because that doesn't mean as much anymore. You want to know if the food is good or not and healthy for your pet, and that they're spending good money on good ingredients. You get the mineral levels. You look at that calcium and phosphorus. Look at the protein as well. You can look at the ingredient panel to a degree, but remember those definitions are extremely vague. And remember that water weight trick, and the weight trick. That's why, again, I can look at an ingredient panel, but what's going to really determine what I want to find out is in that nutrient profile. And when you compare that, that's how you really see the companies that are really looking out for your pet's health. And that's what we're all after. So I hope this has been helpful. It's kind of a rant today. Sorry, just getting back into the swing of things. But let me know what you think. Give me your opinion. And please, if you can, convince me that I'm wrong, that the future is much brighter. Okay. I don't know if RFK could come in and save the pet food industry or not. We'll see, right? But anyway, keep doing your best out there. Really appreciate all of you. It's been a great ride, and let's keep in touch.